Good afternoon, Rara. How's it going?
Oh, it's going fantastic, Dr. Energy. And how's it going by you? Is it windy over there?
It's no, there's just a little bit of a breeze. It's a bit of an overcast kind of day. You can see the light kind of coming in my window here. But overall, it's a pretty nice day, about 27, 28 degrees. The humidity's down a little bit, so it's a very pleasant day, actually.
We wanted to make sure that you weren't going over to the Wizard of Oz over there,
Yeah, no, we did have the tornado touchdown a couple days ago. I was in the south end. It was affected about 2 to 3 blocks in the south end of Ottawa, but everybody seems to be okay, and yeah, they're recovering.
Safety is important.
Safety is very important, definitely. There was, I remember a little story about that. I remember we had another tornado here about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was out on my bike riding around. It was in the evening, and riding around, and the sky's getting a little bit darker, and then it turned this kind of weird purpley orange kind of color, and I was like, that doesn't look so good. I think I'm gonna head home. And so I headed home, and about 2.5, 3 hours later, we had a tornado here. And it wasn't in my neighborhood either, but it was on the other side of the river in Quebec, but it did some major damage that time. So
being aware, right?
yeah.
That's important in business and your day-to-day life.
And the funny part of it all is I watched a video of the tornado from a couple days ago, and somebody took it from atop a building, or maybe they had a drone flying. I don't know what the hell they're doing, flying a drone in tornado when a tornado's touching down 3 blocks away. But in the video, there's somebody on their bike riding in the direction towards the tornado, like, hey, I'm going to get closer to get a better picture. I'm like, are you freaking nuts? It's a tornado. Get the hell to safety. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Become more aware of what you're doing.
It leads right into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Safety. How many
Yeah.
people are leading themselves into something,
Right.
thinking one thing and not realizing that it's not a safe decision.
Right.
We had a fantastic time with our 2-day fun shops, play shops, workshops. And we spoke to people and our friends and our clients and prospects, and we heard a lot of really interesting things. And I'd like to talk about the conclusion that we have. Also,
Right.
I'd like to make a point. I'm looking at the camera right now.
Yep.
When we're talking on camera to people, often we want to look at ourselves or the other person we're talking to. So I just want to make a distinct point that I am now looking at myself. I am now looking at you. I am now looking at the audience.
Right.
So when you're speaking to people, as much as you might feel compelled to see what you look like, for you to see me looking at you, it's
looking at you.
Read into the camera. So as hard as that might be, this could be sort of an easy lesson to remember.
So one of the things you could do with that, and most people don't know this or haven't realized it or never been brought up, is if you right click with your mouse on top of your video, the video of you, there's a box will pop up, and one of the options that you have is hide self view. So it will hide your own video, so you won't see yourself and you won't be distracted by your image of yourself while you're in a Zoom meeting.
I wonder how many women actually click that button. But aside from
or men, again, most people don't know to click it, so they don't. So I'd say most probably don't click.
All right, so let's do that. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to click hide self view. Yep. So now I'm looking at you.
Yep.
So now I'm looking at you, or I'm looking at the camera.
Right.
So I would be easily distracted if I were there, and
Right.
less distracted if you're there, because I know that I want you to see me looking at you.
Right.
So it really is a good test. I recommend you do that. But if I did want to see how I looked, then I might be distracted looking for the button, and that might take away from a presentation.
Yeah. The reason I find, what I have found, the reason that most people don't hide their self view is because when they click mute camera, turn their camera off, they know that the camera's off because then their video is off. So if you have the self view hidden, and you may not remember if you have your camera turned on or off. So I know some people do it for that reason, but I find turning my self view off is much more helpful. I get less distracted. I'm less likely to look down at my monitor.
And remember when your camera's on, because that could be embarrassing. So make sure you know a few things. Make sure you know a few things when you're doing it. Or like, oh, I forgot, I'll just stand up and I'm only really wearing shorts and I have, you have to make sure you really are aware. Don't
Yes.
ride your bike into the tornado.
But you should be doing that, and you should be that aware when you're on camera
Yes.
anyways.
Yes. And that's a great tip for today. Be aware when you're on camera, where you're looking. How do you feel? Do you feel like I'm looking at you? I'm looking at my camera. I'm not paying attention to anything else.
Right.
So when I'm speaking, as if you were the person, I will give you the same, well, I don't know if respect is the right word, but attention.
Right.
And that makes you feel differently than when I'm doing this, talking to you. All right.
Or
Okay.
or when you have or when people have their cameras blanked. Like I feel like I'm talking to nothing or nobody when people blank their cameras generally.
Oh, right. Yeah. That just, it feels like you really don't know if they're in the bathroom or not.
Bathroom, or if they're even there, they could be off doing anything else, just listening to you in the background, right?
Turn off the sound. Well, I have some good news about that, but we won't get into that. We'll do that for the next slide. But what we had fun with, what we really had fun
Yes.
with, all of our participants except one had the camera on. Only one had it off because they were eating.
Right.
So that, if somebody explains that, like I'm eating, so
That's okay. Yeah.
you know that the camera's off, and so you're aware, and there's communication.
Sure.
So when your participants are communicating with you, you feel like, okay, great, cool, you're here, thank you.
Yeah.
And also that participant of ours was in the chat communicating.
Yep,
And that's
exactly.
another way you can sort of
They were still engaged.
Right. And
Right.
doesn't mean because the camera's off that you're not engaged. It just means, maybe you're sitting with your family eating or whatever you're doing, and you still want everybody to hear what we have to say, right?
Right.
Sometimes you're in a public place other than your own with family members, and they're
Right.
listening to. So we had some great points that I think I'd like to cover. Do
Sure.
you want to start, and I'll sort of
Sure. So there's three main points that we wanted to cover, and the first one is about. Wait a second. I got to think about it again. First one was about our marketing. How do we spend our marketing dollars? Where do we spend it? And how much do we spend on marketing? And one of the things that you and I figured out that we do, and is that we look at many workshops, play shops, trainings, however you want to look at them, as a marketing expense. Because the things that you learn in those trainings can then be applied to our marketing. And so we look at that as a marketing expense rather than maybe a training expense. So there are different ways of how you classify your marketing and how much you're spending per month.
Right. And I'll add to that. When I'm in a room where there are other people and I have an opportunity to speak with them and exchange information, and that might be a networking opportunity.
Right.
When I'm making the decision, when we make the decision of how much money should I spend of my net income, gross income on marketing.
Right.
And then what is considered marketing? And if it is a fun shop, like we talked about, or a play shop, and you have your chart of accounts, and you are able to market your business in that event.
Right.
Well, let's think about it. The opportunities are probably greater if you look at that than just putting in an ad on social media.
Right.
So if that makes sense, be aware of what you're considering as your marketing budget. Right. Make sense?
Exactly. And then the next point kind of follows on from that is making sure you review your marketing expenses and what your return on investment is. What are you actually getting for the dollars that you're putting into your marketing budget? What are you getting? You could get impressions on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you have, Twitter, TikTok, whatever social platforms you're on, LinkedIn. But an impression, does that really lead to anything? That doesn't really, it's a meaningless statistic. So somebody saw it for 2 seconds. That's not an actually engaged customer versus a conversion. If somebody clicked through on a post and followed up with you and conducted business with you. So we all have this criteria of making a decision of how to spend our money on our marketing. What's yours?
Riding the bike into the hurricane. I want to get a closer view. I want to be around those people, but I'm not really getting anything out of it, but I still want to go there. So that to me speaks about upping our, game and our levels of doing things, because there's a return on our investment of time and there's a return on our investment of money.
Right.
So fun shops and workshops, they may cost thousands of dollars.
Yep.
They may be worth double that.
Triple, quadruple, quintuple, sextuple. You want me to keep going?
Keep going.
Octuple. Oh, I skipped septuple. Non-tuple, octuple. What's the 10? Decaduple? I don't know. I'm making words up now, which we know I do.
Yeah, of course. We have our own vernacular.
Of course.
So let's think about danger for a second. When you're in business, you might be making a decision and you think it's safe, but it's dangerous. Playing it safe is dangerous. If you're choosing not to do something, just one point that comes up that I hear from time to time is, when I do this, then I'll give myself that. When I reach that, then I'll buy that. I can't do that because I'm not doing that. That's playing it super safe. If you're out holding a bat and a ball in a baseball game, you swing when that ball is coming. You don't second guess it. You swing, and if you connect, you run. Somebody tells you slide or stop or out. So think about life as that game, connecting that bat to that ball.
It's interesting you mentioned that. It's when you swing, you're seeing that ball, this particular, because used to play baseball. When you see the pitch that you identified as the opportunity to get a hit, that's all running through your head very quickly. That's when you swing. You're doing it all unconsciously because you've trained to do it. Versus somebody who's just started to play baseball, you can almost see the wheels turning in their head. Versus somebody who's an expert, like major league players, they just swing on instinct. It's because they've trained themselves to see the opportunities. So playing it safe, you're always looking at what's the danger, and you're making your decisions from a place of fear and danger. Versus if you're seeing opportunities, or you're looking for opportunities to take a swing, and then you see the world differently. And we know that even in baseball, the most successful hitters who hit about 300 average, so that means only 30% of the time they're getting a safe hit during the game. So out of every 10 swings, they're missing 7 times. So now you've got it down to numbers. So in your life, you're going to miss probably more often than you connect. And we have to know that, and that it's okay. Then you can analyze, okay, what I thought was an opportunity wasn't, because blah, 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 blah. And so then you start to get better at identifying the opportunities because you're looking for the opportunity. But if you're looking at the danger all the time, at what's not safe, you're going to miss the cues that signaled an opportunity. And your miss rate is going to go up from 7 out of 10 to maybe 8 or 9 out of 10.
Imagine if you could close your eyes and hit a baseball. Imagine if you could close your eyes, tune into your intuition. Would it make sense if you tried this? Close your eyes and see if it feels right. Remove the fear if possible. Go with that gut instinct. We could talk about this is there another point? Because I really want to talk about fear at another.
No, I think this is a good point to finish up on. Yeah.
Okay, so then this point is, use your instincts. Imagine being so skilled. How many things can you do without looking? Tie your shoe? Could you brush your teeth without looking? Could you put your glasses on without looking? Probably can't see anyway, right? You know where your head is. Wait a minute.
I have to put my glasses on. I can't hear you.
Have you? Right. So if there are things that you do intuitively, instinctively, you do that unconsciously. Think about that when you're placing yourself in these workshops and personal growth and business development. Don't go into danger with fear. Think about the opportunity that is in front of you.
Right. Yeah, it's a big discerning point of looking at danger from a place of fear versus looking at it from a place of awareness. Awareness means we're aware of the danger, we can see the danger, and we can then make a decision based on that. Versus fear means you're looking at everything as danger, because that's how our nervous system is wired. If we start to look for danger everywhere, we're going to see it. And we could go on a whole other, maybe even a podcast episode of where our culture is at when we start seeing everything from a fearful place, which is a whole other discussion. But that is how we are wired. If you start to, you're going to see more of what you focus on. So you can actually train your intuition. It's a trainable skill to be more heightened towards being aware and seeing opportunity than always being in a place of fear.
And when you're around people that you know, like, and trust, it's a really good idea to start there. I was going to say, don't get me started about the whole fear thing, right? We can talk about this for so long. So if you're around us, if you're in one of our play shops or one of our workshops, and you want to discuss that feeling that's coming up, let us know. We'll discuss it with you. You don't have to go away with it. Show up with who you are, be you, be verbal, be as vocal as you can, and we'll work and walk you through it. Oh boy, 2 words.
Or walk and work you through it.
Yeah, okay. You know what I mean. Just
whatever order it needs to be in, we'll do it.
Bring it to us, because we know what that feels like. We've been there. And there are things that scare us too, right? When you're looking at growth and expansion may somehow be masked with a little bit of nerves. And if you can handle the nerves and don't let it turn into fear, then you've got something ahead for you. And we have something live that we want to just give you a quick note about. So Dr. Energy, you want to recap that?
Sure. So the next thing that we have coming up is on Saturday, July 22nd. We're going to be live in Niagara-on-the-Lake. So if you're anywhere within the Greater Toronto area towards London, Ontario, or maybe even in upstate New York or Detroit area, Cleveland, Ohio, something like that. If you just want to travel to Niagara-on-the-Lake, it's a place you've never seen, Niagara Falls. It'd be a great time to come and visit us. We have 2 options. We have a partial option and a complete option. All the information is on our website at b-u.network/BU Impact. And you can register there. And we'll put the link down in the description below as well.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you. Partial, complete, however your schedule allows you to be with us. We'll have a lot of fun. And we're going to talk about it as a play shop, not because we're not working, because it's really important for us to have fun. And we'd like you to have fun.
That was actually, I think that was our other point, was about having fun. We can have fun when what we're doing in building a business and expanding our network and engaging with people. It doesn't have to be drudgery. We're having fun right now. We have a great time doing this. In fact, we've been on a call with each other for almost an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, discussing business and having fun, developing new ideas right prior to recording this. So have fun.
Yes. We should teach people that. So if you're not smiling, look in the mirror. If you and your partner, if you're not smiling at each other, if you're not seeing a smile, then, as far as we're concerned, you got to step that up, because we're always smiling, having a good time, sort of getting excited about what we're doing. And this is 10 years later.
Yep. Happy anniversary.
Oh,
it's actually 10, we're almost 10 and a half years at this point, but yeah.
Oh, good. You get to take me out to dinner for our 10 and a half year anniversary.
Perfect.
Okay.
In fact, wait a minute. What's the date today? It's 12. We're actually, tomorrow would be our 10 and a half.
It's the 15th today.
Oh, so we're 2 days past our 10 and a half year anniversary.
So our guests can come and celebrate with us.
We'll go celebrate with lunch with our guests on the 22nd.
All right, join us. We'll go celebrate together. And if you have a birthday or an anniversary, the more the merrier. So, Dr. Energy, amazing. I look forward to it. All right, to our audience, thank you for being here.
Ciao, babies.
Ciao.